Hey, Ms. Fete, I came back on just for you. I don't know if you'll see this in time, but I do value your question, and so I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave you hanging. I know I may have a hour-long program, but the point of a caring conversation is that you care enough to be there when you're asked a question. And so I'm not going to let Instagram timer tell me when I can finish answering your question, Queen. Oh, I see you're back. Hey, Miss Fente. I am here to finish answering your question. So I was sharing. Oh, did the internet? Okay, there we are. So I was sharing that when you have these story cubes, you can begin to use this as a tool for telling the story in a different way. And so I have like 3 sets. So this one talks about actions, and that's why I picked it out, because you talked about your child wanting to lash out. Okay, and you can find these on Amazon. Try to show you in a way where the glare isn't in the way. There you go. Story cube actions. So if your child doesn't want to use their words, maybe they're not going to embrace books, but use these story cubes and ask them to tell you a story do the first story based on, what the cubes tell you. So, and if you want, you can use all the cubes. You may just use one cube, but you want to, it's really a fun game, actually, because you shake them up and you throw them out, and then whatever image is on there you go, whatever image is that comes up top, that's what you can use to tell the story. Okay? So I hope that answers your questions. Since I'm here. I do believe someone else had another question. Miss Erie, if you don't mind, because when we lost the live, I lost your question, so I didn't get a chance to see it. Would you mind typing it again? And I'll be more than happy to answer that. If I'm not mistaken, Erie Love, is that my sister? That is my sister. Hey, Brittany, good to see you here. Yes, Miss Erie Love, would you like to share your question again so I can answer it? I did not get a chance to see it before before the live stopped on me. So if you can share that again, I'm more than happy to answer your question. Hey, Fridge Mob, glad to see you here. Long-standing early childhood educator. Welcome to the conversation. Okay, I'm back. I'm looking. Do I have your question? I'm literally on this live just for you all. So if you have questions, I have made myself available. Let's have another conversation. Let's see. I just don't want to miss your question because I thought it was very valid. Is it up there? Let's see. I think you're typing. Okay, so while you're typing, since I'm here, actually, Fente, I shared everything for your question. Does anyone have any other questions? Anything else they may want me to touch on while I'm here? Oh, thank you. She asked about older kids. Ah, okay. Let's see. Miss Erie Love, are you still in the building? Okay. Well, let's see. Were there any other books? Oh, yes. Okay. I tell you what I will do while I'm here. I'm going to share another great book with you all about sticking with the theme. Oh, nope. Okay, you're multitasking. Okay, well, I'm here to answer your question because I didn't get a chance to answer it earlier. So if you still want me to address it, just go ahead and type it while I talk about this book, and I'll be sure to address it. All right? So, oh, nope. Okay, Miss Finte. Oh, there are the questions. Well, I guess you may have to wait till next week. Let me see. What are you guys asking me? Do you have any books for older kids who need some empowerment? Give me an age. What age are we talking about in terms of older kids? Being proud of the skin they're in. I tell you what, though. While you tell me the age, I actually have an outstanding book that addresses, you can use this with older kids, and you can use this with younger kids. In fact, I may have to get up for this one. Yes, I do have to get up for this one, but that's okay. Oh, 13? Ooh. Okay. You're talking about young adult, which is awesome. And I'm still going to share the children's book that I have, but I'm also going to reference Jason Reynolds. Jason Reynolds. I love his work. He is a phenomenal young adult author. Check out any of his books. He has one that comes to mind. I think it's called Down. He just talks about, so many things, but he is an African-American man, dreadlocks, very much himself, but he is profound. And he's very proud in the way he carries himself and in the way he describes his characters. So that's one, particularly from the context of a black male. Jason Reynolds. I'll share his information either on my IG page or in the in the YouTube notes. I'll probably see if I can blend these videos together. But let me also pick up a book that'll help. Now, this is for the younger kids because that's my demographic, but I just wanted to share that. 1 second, guys. So, early childhood, elementary, that's my space. So when we talk about, do I have any books that really teach kids to be proud of the skin that they're in? This book right here, particularly from the black male perspective, Crown, let's talk about it. So why I love this book is because the author, you know what? I'm going to let the book speak for itself. Listen to this. When it's your turn in the chair, you just stand at attention and forget about who you were when you walked through that door. You came in as a lump of clay, a blank canvas, a slab of marble. But when my man is done with you, they'll want to post you up in a museum. That's my word. He'll drape you like royalty with that cape. He'll keep the fine hairs off your neck and your princely robes. It's amazing what a tight fade, high-low bald does for your confidence. Dark Caesar. Look at these illustrations. You can already notice with the language that the author is using that he is affirming the black male experience of having your hair cut. He is affirming the amazing power of a tight fade and a sharp line. And for those of us who just came out of this whole quarantine life, we have a firsthand understanding of how important the barbershop is, or the beauty salon is. So I'll stop there because this is an outstanding book and I'll probably talk about it in more detail. but this is just another outstanding example of how we can have language that really affirms our children and teaches them to be proud of the skin that they're in. And I would say even with your 13-year-old, just because it's a picture book doesn't stop the story from resonating, particularly since this may be one of the first times he sees a children's book that talks about the barbershop in this language and honors that experience in a language that doesn't try to be anything other than who the author is. Let me see. That whole school will be seasick from the rows and rows of ripples you'll have. More waves on your head than the Atlantic Ocean. Shout out to my do-rag and patience. You see that? Look at that language. And I haven't seen too many children's books where you see a shout out to the do-rag. I'ma stop there. I'ma stop there. All right, Miss Erie Love, I think you have come through with your question. I asked, how would you encourage writing activities for older kids? Ooh, you know what? I know exactly how I would do that. In several ways. I would go back to the story cubes, okay? Because as I shared earlier, the beauty about these cubes is that you have to tell a story. Like it has a bit of a game element worked in. So, you shake them up, let them loose, and then whatever side of the cube shows up, that is how you string together a story. So you have to be creative. You have to work in all the vocabulary that you know and come up with your story. That's step one. Here's how we tie in your question. How do we encourage writing? Well, we invite the child to write a story based on what their story cubes are telling them. And depending on the child's writing level or how you want to approach this, you can do it in several layers. First, you can have them play with the story cubes. You all, take turns telling stories. You don't have to use all of the cubes. And if you're like me, because each set of cubes has its own theme. As I shared, this one talks about actions. This one is the classic. This is what we started with. And this one is sort of like, if you were wondering which one should I get? Start here. Because this is the classic one. And it has pretty much, you can go in any direction. This is the original. You can go in any direction. And this one, the blue and the yellow are themed, or light green are themed. So this one is talking about voyages, taking trips. If you have all three, you can mix them up, take one from each, or if you really want to make it challenging. So for the 13-year-old, you might want to mix all of them up in a bag and throw them out there and then challenge them or invite them to tell a story that mix in places, actions, and nouns, because this one is just full of nouns, and go from there. Now, say you use this box of story cubes and you throw out the dice, the way you see fit, and you've had a couple of experiences, so you can see what's actually on the cubes, okay? You've had a couple of experiences of telling stories, so the child gets an understanding of what to expect, right? The next step would be write down your favorite story. Okay, so we've had a few times of we're just orally telling the story. So they've gotten the hang, or they see the pattern of how do you tell a story? Well, it has to have an introduction. It has to have some sort of event. There should be a resolution to the event or problem. And then there should be an ending. And so when you're verbally or orally telling the stories using the story cubes, You're setting that pattern of what is a story. And if you're reading aloud with a child daily, or frequently, you're also modeling what a story looks like. There's a beginning, a middle, an end, and there's that connection to the story. Like this one was about haircuts. This one was about shouting. And so on and so forth. So with the books and the story cubes, the child has already had examples of what storytelling can look like. And so now that it's time to write a story, use your cubes. They can have the cubes and allow them to write a story based on what they've heard or what they've said. Now, here's another little trick, depending on how you're approaching this with your child and how much time you have to really draw this out. When they're orally telling their story, invite them to record. Use your cell phone. And just record. Let them record themselves telling a story. And then let them write what they recorded when they play it back. And then help them, because some children may be afraid or intimidated by writing. And so dismantling those things that get in the way is very effective. You can record. It's your story. You've already practiced orally telling a story. Like a child may be far more confident talking than writing, even though writing is simply thoughts on a page. Or it's your words on a page. So helping them draw those connections, that writing doesn't have to be this intimidating thing. Just as you can speak freely, you can record what you said. Like if you want to just tell the story orally, record that, and then have them play it back and transcribe their own voice or write out what they've said. That's like future qualitative research. I'm a qualitative researcher, so you're actually teaching them a research technique. So woohoo you. I guess I can stop here unless there are any other questions. But this was sort of like a bonus round that was inspired by Miss Fente's question. As I said, Dr. Keisha Cares is here because I care. And even though the Instagram live stopped, we reached our hour, I came back because I care enough about your questions. And I'm glad I was able to come back in and support you and Miss Erie Love with your great questions. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. You're more than welcome to come back next week. I'll be here Thursday, 8 o'clock. And we'll continue the dialogue. I had a great time with you all. See you later. Bye.